All right, so share screen agenda. There we go. Okay, I'm sure you probably have the agenda in front of you, but I noticed that nobody's printing any paper in these times because we've all gone to paperless, and this is a real thing. So I'm going to ask that we all initiate Christopher McNabb as being our acting chair to run these monthly meetings in light of the fact that we have had a resignation from our previous chair, Ashley Jones. So Chris, if you would like to kick this off, I'm going to, first of all, let me date stamp this. This is the meeting, the monthly meeting of the City's Events and Recognitions Committee. It is Wednesday, November 18th, 2020. And I have the agenda up. So Chris, if you would like to read that land acknowledgement statement, and then we can appoint you.
I would like to recognize that we are meeting on Indigenous land, the traditional homelands of the Puyallup people.
Okay. So both Adela and Chris have agreed to sort of split the responsibilities of the chair. I asked them to do that so that we can get through the end of the year, the beginning of the year, and the MLK program being going live, so that we can have some continuity, and then we'll take nominations and vote in the new year, and that'll give you some time to get to know each other and sort of decide what roles you might be interested in. So that being said, Chris, would you like to take it from the approve the agenda item?
Sure. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve this agenda.
Moved.
Second.
Perfect. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Since I didn't see who seconded, I saw Adela was the motion. Who was the second?
Stephanie Caldwell.
Thank you, Stephanie. All right.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, so the agenda for today is approved. Next, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes for the meeting that occurred on October 21st.
And the only person that can do that is someone who is actually at that meeting.
Okay, so moved.
A motion.
Can I get a second?
I think the only other one was Ashley.
You're
Yeah.
right.
Very true.
Oh, we're talking about October?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I wasn't there. Yeah.
What do we do in that case?
Chris, if you, that's a really good question. We can table it for now, and I can find out for y'all.
Yeah, we'll have to read our Robert's Rules of Order. That'll be fun. We'll do it for you, though. We won't make you read it.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Louise, you and I connected earlier, but and for everybody, this is the first meeting that I've run. I don't, I guess point of order, right? I do not plan when we have nominations for the new chair and co-chair in different positions to really be included in any of the officer positions. I would really love for the talents and the skills of the new members to be recognized, and for a direction that fits within the transformation resolution. And I simply do not think that I'm it. But I'm excited to run these meetings, to help run these meetings in light of it, and to kind of act in a segue capacity. That leads us to our third item. Hey, welcome. Next, I'd love for each of us to go around with 2 or 3 sentences about yourselves. You know, you can read here what you're passionate about and good at. Maybe we can switch to the gallery view, Cal, if it's not too hard, so that the person who's speaking can kind of be highlighted.
There.
Uh,
How's that?
That sounds perfect. How about we start with the existing members of the committee? Adela, can we start with you?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, everybody. And my name's Adela, and I'm born and raised here in Tacoma. I'm a talent acquisition professional. That's what I do, and so recruiting and building teams. And I currently work for Edwards Life Sciences. I just started. My job was affected by COVID over the summer, so I just started in a new job. And I'm passionate about Tacoma. I moved back home 3 years ago from a decade in Seattle and a few years out of state. And I know that we're growing quickly. And I mean, as we have kind of transformed into being sort of a bedroom community for Seattle, I was just like, gosh darn it, I don't want us to lose us, like what makes Seattle, or what makes Tacoma cool, cooler than Seattle in a lot of ways. And so that's really why I just wanted to, I feel like we've grown up so much as a city, and I wanted to serve that. This has just been a really amazing experience. I do not have prior public service or any sort of government experience prior to coming in here, but this is a really amazing team. So really glad to have you.
Thanks, Adela. I guess I didn't really go myself too, right? I guess my name's Chris McNabb. For a day job, I am a financial advisor at Edward Jones. I met my wife at the Parkway Tavern while I was posted out here at the military, and we got married last year. What I'm most excited about in this committee over the next couple of years is to figure out exactly what we are wanting to do, exactly what we're going to accomplish, and then kind of set that into motion for us, as well as newer members going forward. Next, how about Kate? Are you there?
Yes. Hi, I'm Kate Rhodes. My day job is the director of diversity and inclusion. I also changed job this summer. I now work for a staffing company based out of Missouri. My big focus has been in diversity business development, and this year has been kind of crazy with all of that going on, as you can imagine. I've done it for a while, and now all of a sudden everyone's kind of getting it, and so that's kind of an exciting time to be doing what I'm doing, but also again, very, very, very busy. But I love what I like about this particular position is it complements the diversity stuff with a lot of the initiatives. And like Chris said, I'd like to see more of that in the kind of future going in that direction as it seems to be. And I think that's pretty cool.
Thanks so much. Alicia, are you there?
Yes. Hi. My name is Alicia. Hi. My name is Alicia Ramsey Gonzalez. I am in the events, the nonprofit events and performing arts sector. And I am Tacoma born and raised, and I just love this community. And when I saw this opportunity come up, I was thrilled to throw my hat in the ring to be able to serve my community. So this is my first government appointment. I have some government experience. I worked for the city of Federal Way, and I'm just looking forward to seeing how I can help to fulfill some of the goals that this body will have for work that we'll do.
Thank you. Jessica?
Yes, hello, I'm Jessica Johnston. I am the director of Courthouse Square, the old post office in downtown Tacoma. Here I actually run the property management, all of the building maintenance, the events, and I also am running the coffee shop right now during COVID times. So I wear many hats. I am really excited to be part of this committee. I feel like being a part of a team with a lot of people who care about Tacoma and celebrating our diversity and the growth that we want is just a really exciting opportunity. So thank you for allowing me to participate, and I can't wait to work with all of you.
Thanks, Jessica. Let's see, does Laura happen to be on here, Kala? Gonna take that as a no. Louise?
She's
Go ahead.
missing in action. Yeah, I know that she said she was gonna try and be here, but remember she just had a baby. So
Yeah, I think she's still technically on maternity leave.
yeah, so there you go.
I guess Kala, is there anything to say about? I mean, would you like to introduce or yourself, Kala? And yeah.
Oh no, I'll wait to the end, and I'd like Kim and Adam to also. Adam just sent me a Robert's Rules of Order. Thank you, Adam. But
I guess
we'll go after the new committee members have had a chance to speak. How's that?
Perfect. Luis?
Hi, everyone. My name is Luis Alonso. I was born in the country of Venezuela, and then I've kind of bounced around the United States a bit. Ended up here in Tacoma about 5 years ago. I'm a member of a few community organizations like the Central Neighborhood Council and the Latinx Unidos of the South Sound, where I've had experience in kind of putting together virtual events even before they were a thing, try to increase access to community members who are not able to meet in person. And I've also had the pleasure of helping organize the Latinx Festival, which has been going on for about 4 years now. This year was our first all virtual event, which was created some interesting challenges, but also some really rewarding opportunities. And for my day job, I'm a biomedical engineer. I work in the global health business. So it's a really interesting time for being in that business as well. So thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, next, Rosie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rosie, and my day job, I'm a community organizer. I work in South King County, and I work for Para los Niños. I love it so much. I have many hats here, and it's all about empowering the growing immigrant Spanish-speaking population in South King County. And I wanted to give back to my new community. I moved to Tacoma over a year ago, and when I saw this, I thought that I would be a great addition, and I wanted to, again, give back. So yeah, I'm excited to work with you guys.
Thanks, Rosie. And then Stephanie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Caldwell. I work for Absher Construction. It's a prime contractor located in Puyallup. I've been with them for 22 years. My husband and I have lived here quite a while, ever since 34 years of marriage, raised two girls here in Tacoma area, and they're out of the house. So I'm an empty nester. So I'm Absher's diversity, equity, and community outreach director, and just working with creating all our inclusion plans for our projects. And so since I've been a longtime member of Tacoma, have always participated in community events when my mother was living, in events that she would organize. And so I thought it's a time to kind of give back to what I'm not just doing for Absher, but just in general, from growing up to now, and what Tacoma has done for so positive things for my family. It's time to give back. And so I'm excited to work with all of you in this capacity.
Stephanie, thanks so much. Yeah, we're excited to have all of you. This is the most amount of people that we've had in a while. I'm excited. Kala, over to you.
So I'll just reintroduce myself, since I haven't actually talked to each one of you, but we've been emailing a lot. I am Kala Drawley, and I work in Tacoma Venues and Events Department for the City of Tacoma. I moved there in 2018 to be a part of the booking office at the Tacoma Dome, as well as I issue permits for outdoor special events, and may or may have not crossed paths with some of you in the past about that, but I am so excited to hear about all your backgrounds, because you are going to be awesome. You're all going to be so awesome on this committee, and looking forward to working with you all. I'm going to turn it over to Adam.
Thank you. I've met a few of you, but not most since you are new, so welcome. I am Adam Cook. I am the Deputy Director for Tacoma Venues and Events. I get the great joy of helping to support Kala in everything she does, as well as all of our operations at the Dome and the Convention Center and some of the work at Cheney Stadium and the theaters. So I've been with the city now for almost 2 years, just over about 1 3/4 years. Love the work that goes on here. Love the team that Kim has built and put together. A lot of folks from previous lives I've worked with as well. Prior to coming here, I actually did just over 3 years up in Seattle as I don't even remember what my title was anymore, but basically jack of all trades for Seafair. So got a first class experience with Special Events World and all of the work that they put into their events every summer up there, and enjoyed that. And then prior to that, I've been what I call a venue rat my whole life, jumping around arenas and convention centers and things like that. So I've enjoyed it very much. I think probably with Kim.
How about Tammy first?
Oh, Tammy first, then Kim. Kim will close us out.
Hi, I'm Tammy Bryant. I oversee marketing for Tacoma Venues and Events, and my office is at the Dome, and we were very happy to have Kala move over into our office. Really excited about this group. My role will be to try and help amplify any of the events you do to get more participation and get the word out. So really looking forward to working with all of you on doing that. So I've been in Tacoma for about 5 years now. Also have an extensive arena background, and prior to that I was a concert promoter. So I love events. That's all I do. Over to you, Kim.
Okay, thanks. My name's Kim Badir, and it is my great pleasure to be Director of Tacoma Venues and Events and work with these people that you just met. I'm super excited, as is Kala, to have you all aboard. This committee's had some ups and downs and struggles, and the new energy that you have already brought is super exciting to be a part of. And as Chris mentioned, we're also really looking forward to just really thinking about what this committee can do and what it can do for the community. So the fact that you all want to do something for your community is just great. So traditionally, this committee, of course, has been responsible for the annual MLK celebrations and the City of Destiny Awards. And we're already thinking of potentially some other events and other duties that you could do to serve the community. So we're open to your suggestions, but we've also got perhaps a couple to throw your way. And again, I encourage you to really think about eventually becoming a chair or a co-chair. We'll work with you, we'll help you, and we'll do whatever it takes to make sure that you're successful. But again, thank you so much for being willing to give of your time to this particular exercise for the City of Tacoma. And you couldn't work with anybody better. Kala is a great resource for you.
Second that.
Perfect. Kala, am I missing anyone?
Jennifer, I guess. Should we introduce Jennifer? Or is she just our silent host?
I can if you want me to. I stay silent unless called upon because I'm not part of the committee. So my name is Jennifer Durham. I am an event planner here in Tacoma. I work only with nonprofits on fundraising events and with the city and some conferences and things like that. And I am also just thrilled about the committee at this point. It's really exciting to me. So welcome to all of you. Stephanie, because of her role at Absher, and I have been emailing each other and probably talking on the phone at least a few times for years because her company sponsors a number of my clients' events, which is very cool. Like many of you, I also love events and can't wait till we're back in person, but we've, I think, adapted really well during this time with both of the events that we put on, and I'm just pleased also to be here, and thank you all.
And I wanted to do something to give a big shout out to Absher actually and Stephanie's crew. our brand new downtown Marriott hotel built by Absher Construction just opened today. So we're looking forward to eventually being able to do events there too.
Awesome.
Awesome. Cool call out. I guess the last person then, the 9th committee member that we have would be Laura Pettit, and she works for the Northwest Seaport Alliance. I can promise you that she's awesome. She's really cool, and that's all I have to say about that. Next, yeah. So can you scroll down just a little bit, Kala, on your screen share? Yeah. So Adela, can you kind of say how we arrived at this point?
Sure. Yeah, I'll start, but please fill in. Kala, yeah, same thing. Please fill in. So essentially, when I joined, which was a year and a half ago, almost, it was June of 2019, and I think we had probably 7 or 8 members at the time, but we had a few people whose term was up, and so they left, and then we had, I think, 2 or 3 people that decided to resign for various reasons. They moved out of area, or they had a lot going on, and then most recently, was it 2 or 3 weeks now ago, we received the resignation from our chairperson, and she sounds like she's doing fine. I texted with her a bit, no elaboration onto what's going on, but you know, we all hope that everything's okay with her. It's probably just really busy. It's a weird time of year, right? And so I did not attend the City of Destiny Awards in June of 2019, and so I actually haven't seen one live. And so my first event that I saw live was the Martin Luther King Jr. celebration earlier this year. And so, of course, we're at a point now where we have to just transition everything to kind of reimagine it virtually. What am I missing, Chris? Anything?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I would like to add on to that, Adela. Thanks for that background. And I do a shout out to Tammy and anybody else who works on her team that helped us, and also our media and communications office at the municipal building, or from home, the home version of the municipal building, for reaching out through social media, so that we are touching all of these different community groups, all of these different, talents and that sort of thing. And the response was so much greater than we've ever seen before. And that's why I'm so excited that, we are rounding out. We still have 2 seats to fill, but I think we'll wait until after the first of the year so you guys can get a little experience under your belts and, maybe even help us with those last 2 positions, or 2 seats. So I just wanted to give a shout out to everyone who helped to get the word out that we were looking for some great, new, energetic, and experienced team members. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that.
Perfect. And then it looks like, I guess, point of order, Luis had mentioned that his name was spelled incorrectly on this form, and I'm guessing that it was.
I know. Thank you, Luis. Sorry about that. I fixed it every place else except here, so I will fix it.
It's okay. Thank you.
No worries. So that when it gets posted, it's got your name spelled correctly. Apologize for that. And is this big enough for you guys to view it fairly well?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kala sent out the new member handbook, or rather the member handbook, and kind of a welcome packet with the transformation resolution. I'll encourage all of you to kind of read through it, and in a further agenda item, we'll kind of see how we can change, not the resolution, but the new, our member handbook to reflect what we want to accomplish, and what we intend on, doing as a committee, and our purpose. I'll pause though and open it up. Does anyone have any immediate questions or thoughts on kind of the welcome materials? Great. Let's see. Let's move on to the Calla. Can you kind of review the schedule for the next round of recruitment?
Yeah. So what will happen is this is the current schedule, and we can go back and see if the committee that you all just went through your interview process with would be willing to adjust. But at this point in time, new members roll on to the committee usually in June, that's usually when the terms are terminated. That's when they're usually up, is at the end of June. And so if we use that schedule, what will happen is they'll send out a call for applications, just exactly like what you experienced, but that'll happen in probably late March or early April. And then it has to go through a process of review and calling references and that sort of thing. And then the interviews would happen in May with the Economic Development Committee. And if anyone has to resubmit an application because they're coming up to the end of their first or second term, I think that the rules and procedures say that, I mean, we don't really have it spelled out that clearly, but you can go for 3 terms if you so desire, as long as you're contributing, you're present, and that the committee makes a recommendation to continue your position on the committee. Also, I think then the first meeting of any new members the first meeting would be in July. So that's our normal annual process. Of course, it didn't happen that way this year. You would have been, way ahead and having been to a number of meetings if we had been on the same schedule, but the uncertainty really led the clerk's office and the Economic Development Committee to adopt a new schedule for this year, and I'm glad they did. So we'll have plenty of time before the new year to get to know each other. So that's pretty much it for recruitment. Any questions on that?
I do have a question. So since we just went through this process, I just wanted to kind of get a sense of whether there was just no applicants for the 2 districts that are missing, or they just weren't a good fit. I'm trying to understand a little bit about how the selection of the particular areas that they represent was made. So I'm a District 3 usually representative, but I was assigned to be at large, and I don't know if there's any benefit over that, or it presents a challenge if we're not getting enough people from that district to represent.
I'm going to go up here so that I'm not getting this wrong. So when you were selected and when you were appointed, it preceded Ashley stepping down, and she was in District 3.
Okay.
If we want to reassign you, we would have to go through the process again. It's just the way government works. Mm-hmm. There was one person she was in District 2, but the Economic Development Committee didn't feel like she was a good fit for this committee, and I recommended that she apply for another, like the Human Rights Commission, because that was really where her focus was, or her passion was. So she was in District 1. Let me back up. She was in District 1. That is why that seat is still vacant. And then Ashley was in District 3. So does that answer your question? Great.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
Any other questions when it comes to, you all just went through this process, kind of the next round of recruitment?
Chris and Adela, you might want to talk just really briefly about the application form and what we talked about when we had our non-public meeting not too long ago.
Yeah, I'm so I'm really excited because you all went through this process, that you have kind of seen that it's a little maybe onerous in terms of getting through the application process, showing up on a specific day. Typically, in this case, I believe it was Zoom. You all could speak a little bit better in terms of that application process, but that kind of eliminates probably a group of people that could very well participate in this committee that wouldn't necessarily be able to schedule during a certain time. And so actually, Calla, what I wanted to ask you to kind of explain is citywide, there's the transformation resolution has kind of triggered a review of certain policies and procedures. And I kind of wanted to, as the fifth portion of the proposed subcommittees kind of shows, is a racial equity and inclusivity review. Can you kind of comment about what the city's doing kind of across boards? Or maybe Kim would even
Yes,
be a good...
I was just going to defer to Kim or Adam if they want to talk about that. And also Tammy is heading up our racial equity budgeting planning process. We're working on a document that once that's adopted, then we can share that with you. But Kim, if you want to weigh in on that, unmute. You're welcome.
Somebody has to do it, right? Sorry about that. We should be charging people like $1. We could have this big kitty, that we could have a big party.
Augment the dome's budget.
Yeah, exactly. I'll kick it off and then maybe I will turn it over to Tammy because she has done a great job of shepherding our racial equity plan for our department. Essentially, the resolution that Chris is referring to, I'm sure you're all familiar with. We're calling it our transformation resolution. And the city has committed on a number of levels to focus on racial equity and make sure that we transform our city to be completely inclusive at all levels. How that relates to this committee and other committees, obviously we want everything we do to reflect the community that we serve and be representative of our population. And we also, one of the things we'd love for you to discuss in your subcommittee related to the whole committee process is we feel that even the Economic Development Committee that you're interviewing needs to have a greater understanding of racial equity and inclusion as well. Maybe some bias training before they're doing interviews, that sort of thing. So the goal of the transformation resolution is at all levels in the city to address anything in the system and ensure that we're pulling it all apart, making sure that even if it was unintentional, that all of those systems become more inclusive. And so maybe Tammy could speak to some of the specifics that we're hoping to accomplish over the next biennium in our plan.
Well, Kim, you did cover it pretty well, but I think one of the things that's been brought up is that there are barriers for people to participate. So we would like to uncover more what those are. And we've also, each department puts together their own plan, and then it goes to our Office of Equity and Human Rights. And they are kind of looking at all of the plans across all of the city departments and hopefully seeing similarities and identifying where there's common challenges for different departments. So, but I think one way we'd like to hear from you is about the barriers to entry to participate in this committee, and then addressing those and hopefully making change so that we can have more participation. So it was interesting when I first started talking to Calla about this. This used to be a meeting that was done in person. And then now that we do all these meetings on Zoom, it was, okay, well, maybe this brings in another group of people that maybe couldn't participate if they had to go in person. So there's just a lot of different elements that we want to look at and identify how we can make change so that we can have participation for everyone. So I don't have the plan off the top of my head, I'm sorry, but hopefully that gives a bit of an explanation of at least one portion of it that we're trying to pick apart. And
Yeah, the barriers question was, I think, the most important for us to talk about, or the subcommittee to sort of talk about. And by the time the subcommittee is formed and they are starting to talk with each other, we can make that document available. I think it'll be adopted at some point in time, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks all. And so I really wanted all the new members. Hey, like this is happening throughout the city, and I wanted our actions to reflect what the city's doing. But you know, we're in charge. So I propose out of this list, and really any subcommittees that we can kind of make to kind of spur on action towards that end. I propose, you know, a motion to create a subcommittee for a review of the member handbook. Right now, we are, you know, we're conducting 2 events: the City of Destiny Awards and the MLK event every year, and that kind of serves people. I'd rather, instead of just doing something because we've always done it, that we kind of look at a review of why we do what we do as a committee. I'd like to assign a subcommittee for it. So again, can we, I'd like to propose, you know, hey, can I get a motion to create a subcommittee? Is that how I do that, Kala? First time we're here, everybody. Perfect. Yeah, a motion to create a subcommittee.
Almost.
Perfect. Kala, did you catch that? All right, can I, who motioned?
I second.
Oh, okay.
Adela, yeah, it's hard to get the seconds and the motions down when we're doing Zoom, but so Adela, you motioned, and Rosie, you seconded. Thank you. Just for the minutes.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Perfect. I'd like to.
Chris, can I suggest any discussion?
Any,
We don't do that very often, but any discussion, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw you.
I would like to discuss. I'm not entirely sure what the motion was. Can you, can someone read it back in like the wording exactly, or what the intention of the motion is?
So the motion was to appoint a review subcommittee to look at the contents of the member handbook and ensure that the contents are reflective of the work that you're actually going to do.
Okay.
Am I getting that right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine with me. I was just a little bit lost because we were talking about the application process to be a member of this committee. I at this point I don't exactly understand how the member handbook is tied to that particular process, or whether this committee has any oversight over that process, but we can certainly make some suggestions. Yeah, it isn't entirely clear how those 2 topics are connected, but I do support the motion of forming a subcommittee to further evaluate the member handbook and our work, a work package, basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Luis.
Perfect. I guess is the next process then.
Christopher, you cut off. I can't hear you.
Jennifer, Chris went quiet.
Chris is not muted, so
No.
something happened. Christopher, we lost your audio.
Can
Yep.
you hear me now?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So the I'd like to ask for, I guess, volunteers to be a part of the subcommittee.
I volunteer.
Rosie?
May I discuss again real quick before volunteers chair or how?
Yeah, please. Luis, go ahead.
What are generally the expectations for in terms of time and responsibilities and staff support for these subcommittees?
So, Cal, can you comment? I mean, really, on my end, what I'm expecting out of this subcommittee is to review the member handbook, look at especially the purpose of what we do as a committee, make sure it'll come up with any proposed changes, and then let's review those changes for next meeting and vote, or say, hey, these are some things that we want to do, and then go back for a second review. Callie, do you have anything to add?
Well, I think the question, Luis, if I'm not mistaken, you're asking what's the time commitment? What's the timeline look like?
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty much it, except.
And I guess if we get staff support.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So staff support, yes, always. Subcommittees can be less than a quorum, which means they do not have to be public meetings, and I highly recommend that, just saying. And then, yes, you can include the application process and recommendations for any changes to that as maybe an addendum to the handbook, because I think there's a process for committee members to write letters to the Economic Development Committee, to the council, and to the clerk's office to say, hey, we want to make some recommendations about how to make this a more equitable process. For example, the Arts Commission did that. Kim, I can't remember what year that was, 2 years ago. And they weren't really successful, but this is a totally different time and place. And so I would say that it might be an additional 1 hour meeting a month, maybe. Or maybe it is a matter of saying we're going to have 3 meetings, and at the end of that, we're going to come back with a recommendation and then see if we have to have more of that subcommittee meeting. I don't see it as a year-round commitment. That's unless you want it to be.
And timeline, I'd like to propose the timeline as part of this December 9th in advance of our December 16th meeting, having just a first draft complete. So that gives 3 weeks for that time. Even if you come up with nothing, then you just come back and say, hey, we came up with nothing, we need more time. And that's fine too. But just so we have some form of timeline, yeah, December 9th would be the timeline that I'm expecting. I'll pause here. Luis, did I explain that well? Does that answer your question?
Yes. So I think the way that I am interpreting it is that there is realistically probably 1 meeting before a decision is, or a recommendation is presented to the larger group, and roughly an hour to maybe a little bit more than an hour to kind of review and actually make some edits to the document.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that I caught that. So, and then there are a number of other documents that are yours. In other words, the rules and procedures belong to you. Nobody else makes a decision about what the content is. It's not called a charter. It's not called, what's the other terminology? It's definitely a rules and procedures kind of document. So it is very different than what would govern a board of directors, for example. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so the only documents that I've shared with you that don't belong to you to make changes to would be that resolution, the transformation resolution, and then the content on the Compassionate Tacoma webpage that I shared a link with you. Everything else basically is up for grabs. Right now, the application form that is used by the clerk's office, we can't make any changes to that, like the Arts Commission requested a couple of years ago, unless there's a movement across all of the commissions, boards, and committees, and there is a person assigned to that in the city manager's office, a management analyst. So I would bring that person to a meeting in the near future to discuss that particular point.
Calla, can I volunteer to be on that subcommittee?
I don't. That's up to you.
I don't even know. Hey, never. First time here again. Great. I'm volunteering. Stephanie Caldwell, do you happen to be? Could you also be a part of it with your experience as community outreach director? Would you be available to be part of that subcommittee?
For the handbook, correct?
Yes. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Sure. I can do that.
Okay. We can have other takers, but I think 3 for a subcommittee makes sense. I guess all those in, how do I end this, Cal? All those in favor, I guess, or that's it?
No, you don't need to ask for a motion or vote on the subcommittee makeup. You would only vote on what they recommend as going forward. So.
Okay, perfect.
But I'm still recording who has said they might be interested in being on that committee, but notice there's some other committees as well. So.
Yes, and
you can be on more than one. You don't have to just limit yourself to one.
Yep, and then the second, again, we can, anyone can have a kind of a point of order or point of discussion to propose a different subcommittee, but the second subcommittee that Luis, especially after speaking with you one-on-one, was the matrix for decision or matrices for decision on how to vote on MLK awardees, and coming up with kind of a list of different, hey, this is how we're going to make this decision. So I'd like to propose a subcommittee on that. I'll ask for, I propose a motion to create the MLK awardee decision-making matrix subcommittee.
I move the motion.
Second.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All of those proposed? Great. I would like 3 volunteers with the same timeline, December 9th. So that sent to Calla.
Can I make a comment here? And I really apologize that this is where we are, but because of all of the confusion with the resignation and everything else, we are behind the 8 ball for video recording the recipients of the awards. Has to be done that week, the week of the 9th. And that's TV Tacoma's schedule. So if you don't select the awardees today, which it doesn't look like you're prepared to do, and I totally get that because you haven't had enough time to review everything or talk to each other about it, then having something by the 1st of December as a decision would be optimal. And I apologize for the lateness of this, giving you the awardees, nomination forms and all that stuff. But, it is what it's all part of the fun process of having to, herd those cats. So if you could find it in your schedule over the next week and a half to make a decision, then we can start. Then Jennifer, it's her job to go to reach out to those awardees. There's only going to be a couple of them, so it's not like it's going to take for a very long time, but it's really difficult in this day and age with Zoom to get people to respond. So we have very little time. Sorry.
No, no problem at all. I guess I propose then that we allow the previous board members before the new members have arrived to be the voting authority on the awardees for this MLK to minimize the amount of people that are needed to make decisions to make them a little bit quicker. I guess that'll take a vote. Hey, I propose that we, I ask for a motion to conduct a vote to, again, make the voting pool smaller for these awardees just for this year. So yeah, I'm asking for a motion for that.
Move that.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Okay, I guess that's, I move into like a vote to be able to do that. Is that true, Cal?
Yes.
Great.
Sorry, Chris, I just have a quick question. Is the matrix something we can work on for the City of Destiny Awards for choosing?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It'd be nice to have.
yeah, if anybody has suggestions on what should go into that matrix, just send them to me and I'll make sure that, I'm the one who collects all that information. I'm the one who puts out the applications or the nomination forms, et cetera. So I'm at your disposal. So if you've seen a process work before, I know the Arts Commission has a tried and true one for selecting funding. And you are going to have, anyway, I'll get to that later, but yeah.
I like that idea because, going back to diversity, equity, and inclusion and talent acquisition, one of the things that we're always trying to do is, like make our biases conscious, right? Eliminate unconscious bias. And one of the ways you can do that is always by comparing an individual to the requirements for the job, not the individuals to each other. And so having that baseline where we can have a repeatable, sustainable, fair judging process, I think is a great idea, Louise.
That's perfect. Okay, so we're going to conduct a vote kind of like the motions. So all of those in favor to have the 3 voting members be Adela, myself, and Kate, say aye.
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 All of those opposed say nay. Okay, so the ayes have it. That will kind of create that pool where we can kind of vote on those either today or most likely separately on a different day, Kala. And that I think for subcommittees, hey, let's start with review the member handbook, create our purpose as a group, look at that on our next meeting, and then decide how to move forward with, hey, what matrices are we going to make? So I'd like to move on to the MLK Junior celebration. Again, I'd like to ask for a motion to just go ahead and I guess how is this? I'd like to ask for a motion to move this vote separately for the 3 committee members that were named, Adela, Kate, and Chris, to a separate date to be determined. Yeah, I think I need to ask for a motion for that. Cal, is that correct? To move this off the agenda?
You do not have to ask for a motion to move this, to table this.
Perfect. I'd like to table this item on the agenda.
To
And
take
then-
up, and then I'll add to take up in subcommittee, right?
This is, it is, yeah,
Okay.
technically committee with Adela, Kate, and myself.
Okay.
And then the Juneteenth update. So, hey, this was something that the last chair, we were going to add a Juneteenth celebration. And we were going, we had a proposal ready for the Economic Development Committee, comprising of 3 members, I believe, of City Council. And we had a proposal in the works to add it, and then the chair resigned. So the proposal is, I'd like to, before adding and continuing forward by adding another event to our schedule, hey, I'd like to review, hey, what's our purpose, as we've kind of already set out? What are we going to want to accomplish? Does Juneteenth fit in? Do changes to our other events fit in? But I just wanted to give you an update. Hey, this was something that's on our that was on our agenda that we're going to table for now. That I just wanted you all to be aware of. Hey, we've got some really cool things that we can do as a committee, and Juneteenth was one of those. But it, you know, maybe an Indigenous Peoples Day or another. You know, I'd like to leverage kind of the skills and abilities that you all bring to the table in deciding, hey, how are we going to continue? So that's kind of the Juneteenth update. I'll kind of open it up for discussion.
And also remember that you also have on your, you know, on your table to discuss it, Latinx type of celebration as well, that Luis might have some really good insight about. Anyway, so wanted to mention that. And I think what Chris had previously requested was that there be a new champion for the Juneteenth festival or celebration or event going forward, that he didn't feel equal to being the champion of that. Is that fair to say, Chris?
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
Absolutely. I like when I think of that, the new member handbook and coming up with a new purpose, I think of like, hey, we're in the people business creating events, not the event business serving people, right? Like we are here to act as kind of the heart and soul of Tacoma and an expression of what we do as a city. And I'm really excited to do that. That doesn't necessarily have to be Juneteenth. It doesn't need to even be MLK. It doesn't have to be Latinx. I say, hey, let's come together as a new group of 9 people right now, hopefully 11 here soon, come up with exactly what we want to do and come with new energy to create those events.
I love the idea of at least recognizing Juneteenth through education, even if it isn't an event, because I'm embarrassed to say that being from Tacoma, I didn't know what Juneteenth was until a few years ago. And I just don't think that's acceptable. I think everybody needs to know and celebrate. And so I would just love to just figure out a way to, you know, just like, if it's not an event, just some sort of acknowledgement on the day. You know, I mean, it would be great if it was an event, but just the, you know, like just broadcasting it, celebrating it, big deal.
Yeah, I think I would like to see it as an event. I think it's a great opportunity to bring in, I mean, this is an Independence Day for, you know, a large body of our community and a large body of our country. This is equally, in my mind, as important as 4th of July. So I think that as we look forward, you know, in envisioning how we can bring folks together, I think that most of these events, just because we are kind of conduits of the city, should be a learning opportunity for everybody. And I think that it's, you know, we have a lot of histories that I think folks are just learning about. As Adela said, we should be able to celebrate those histories so that we don't have another generation who is, you know, who has no idea about that those moments in our past. As we look at Martin Luther King Jr. Day, I think that that's kind of a cotton candied idea for most people in terms of discussing those cultures and the Black communities specifically. I think that as a Black person, it's Martin Luther King, he was a phenomenal, and it's a very important day to celebrate. But I think we need to look behind that figurehead and also bring in more historic context to where, you know, I think that I would like to champion for Juneteenth personally. I guess that's my way of saying that.
That's awesome. Thanks, Alicia. Yeah, I think then we'll move on to public comment.
1 second before we move to public comments. I guess for me, trying to understand how the committee makes decisions on events and maybe specific holidays it decides to highlight. I mean, looking at the handbook, I see 2 specific events called out, and then a third point which is a little bit vague about celebrating other things. Some people in this call have alluded to specific proposals that I guess have been discussed previously, but it does sound like to me, for example, that it would be good for all new members kind of get an idea of what is our what has been celebrated before, what has been organized before, and what we can bring to the table. And then it just sounds like a kind of a subcommittee type of thing where we discuss new ideas to bring forward, because it does seem a little bit vague at the moment. And I think we may need to kind of prioritize also based on, I mean, I don't know what our resources are in terms of funding or in terms of marketing. And so like, I guess we need to kind of also leverage all those things because we're maybe not going to be able to do all of them, but we can get some sort of stream going to eventually get to all of them, or identify where the gaps exist so that we can start patching those up. But yeah, go ahead.
Chris, I'll talk about the resources. So right now, well, up until I moved to the Tacoma Venues and Events, I was the only person that was even remotely involved with this committee. This committee is only about 6 years old. It's a fairly new committee, and the funding was moved over to my previous department and now to TVE, Tacoma Venues and Events. Sorry, I was in community and economic development for years. And so the budget, the accounting, everything was moved over, right? The MLK event, now let me just go back to the MLK event in its previous iteration, which is a live production with all the bells and whistles. The budget was under $40,000 with some space that was graciously given to the event from Tacoma Venues and Events, which is the convention center. And then the City of Destiny Awards is, the budget is much smaller. It's around $10,000 a year. And so to answer the question about what resources, funding is one of the resources. This committee is allowed to do fundraising, by the way. And that is a strength, I think, that if any of you have, we would like to call upon that. And I think that as long as it's not competing with something that you're already involved with. Because I think that was, Alicia, you had that question, right? Where, yeah, when you first were thinking about being on this committee. So that's the money side of things. You would have to go through, and what Chris was alluding to with the Economic Development Committee presentation is that if you want to fund through the city, accounting, any new event, you have to go through the Economic Development Committee to approve the amount, find the funding, whether it's from contingency funding or from something else. And, just keep in mind that right now, I mean, like fire is having to find money by reducing some expenses someplace else in the city so that they can keep the engines running. And then the other resources, you see them, Kim, Adam, Tammy, will be involved in helping us if we need additional support, additional contracting. Jennifer is our regular contractor for event management. And so she works on both of those events behind the scenes. And that was put into the budget. It's included in that pricing. And and TV Tacoma is our big resource as well. So TV Tacoma does a lot for us. Fred Yomes and John Miller are our primary contacts at TV Tacoma, and Fred works on MLK, and John Miller works on the City of Destiny Awards. And so you are always welcome to present a new idea to the Economic Development Committee for their consideration, and then taking that as a proposal to the full committee. But it has to be very well thought out. It has to be a full-on event proposal, complete with a budget, complete with what resources are going to be needed and that sort of thing. And it sounds to me like some of you already have that experience. And even if it's like Stephanie, even if it's, one of your programs that you do for ABSHR, it still fits into that sort of category of proposing new programs, right? Yeah. So, yeah. And I think you're right. It is a subcommittee. It's another subcommittee.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So ultimately, what this committee ends up pursuing in terms of events needs to be approved by the Economic Development Committee?
If you're expecting city resources in any capacity, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's, additional staff involvement, like say for instance, I'm just going to throw this out there. You want the OEHR, the Office of Equity and Human Rights, or you want the arts, staff to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
You can't make that decision. It has to go through, because there's always an expense associated with all resources.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have to go through. And Kim and Adam have been really helpful in reviewing and helping to put together those kinds of proposals, because guess what? They've been doing this their entire careers. So events. That's why the city's Events and Recognitions Committee is part of Tacoma Venues and Events. Yay. So does that help you understand? Just scratching the surface, but.
It does help me kind of set proposals to a more realistic threshold. So it does kind of help me identify some of the steps we need to take in order to successfully add an event to our event portfolio, I guess. So yeah, I think that, I mean, it does sound to me like it's a committee that has to kind of look and review what gets added, and what kind of levers we need to pull to address resources. And I'm also kind of wondering if, so I see that the point that you were talking about, the Juneteenth celebration, whether a proposal was actually initiated on that, and if members of the committee before can speak to what that process was like, and how we can leverage all these new folks here to kind of start moving some of these new, because I'm sure that a lot of us that are new here came in with ideas of like new events and stuff that we wanted to prioritize.
So I can speak to Juneteenth. It was the subcommittee was pretty much the chair and myself, and what we had prepared was an informational. We were not requesting anything from the Economic Development Committee as of yet. We were planning on going in front of the Economic Development Committee to say, hey, here's our idea, and this is the concept. We're looking to start this in 2022 so that we could put on their radar, hey, this is what you can expect to see from us in the future, especially if they wanted to get involved along the way. And Kim and Kala were extremely helpful in that regard with the, the bureaucratic paperwork that is actually really exciting. I mean, I get really excited to see that kind of stuff. Like, oh, this is how we can actually get stuff done. These are the right forms, and these are the right people to get them in front of at the right time. Did I explain that well? Did any more discussion on that?
Not from me. Thank you.
Perfect. I've got here an ask to have a fundraising subcommittee, and I'll raise it up. Rosie, can you speak a little bit more towards that? What you kind of see in that vision there?
I think it would be good to kind of have a subcommittee, and whether we meet right now or whether we meet in the start of 2021, just to kind of talk about fundraising for, like, let's say Juneteenth, and kind of having that committee going and seeing what skills we have together and kind of having some plans. I think it'd be good, instead of when we're ready to start fundraising, starting it then. And also we can fundraise for more events that we talk about ongoing. We're just fundraising all year round for, maybe we're going to have like 5 events a year or more.
Rosie, I think that's an absolutely fantastic idea. Thank you so much for your addition. I would love to propose a motion to create that fundraising subcommittee, especially I'm sure staff involvement is going to be super key here to help identify what the correct channels are for legal fundraising on our behalf. I'd like to propose a motion. Somebody make a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. I'll ask for volunteers. Obviously, Alicia.
I volunteer.
I volunteer.
Who is that second volunteer?
Jessica.
Perfect.
And I volunteer too.
Oh yeah, Rosie. No, I said Alicia. Rosie.
Rosie.
I would like to. That's what I do for work. So if I could be of any help, like.
Yeah.
That's perfect. So we have.
So can you go over those again? I apologize. I've got this new XFi hub that I'm going to install this week, but my computer kicked me completely out. So I missed the last, but I know it's going to be on the recording, so I'll capture that. But can you tell me who the fundraising committee is?
Yes, I believe it's Jessica, Alicia, Rosie, and was Stephanie on there too? Did I hear no?
No.
Okay. I didn't mean to volunteer you. I only got that in the chat. That's the only that's the reason why. So yeah, so we have Jessica, Alicia, and Rosie. Kala.
Thank you.
I think in order for you all to meet offline, just go ahead and I think Rosie, you would be a really good lead on that to start an email chain between the three of you. If you have any questions about emails, Kala will be a great resource. Kala will also be an incredible resource when figuring out who the right person to talk to is in regards to like legally, hey, how do we make sure that this gets done right? Because I certainly have no idea. But I know that's a really great idea to get going. And I think the same timeline would be really good. So December 9th, just maybe send out like a Word document maybe to Kala with what you guys have done so far so that we can have that on our December 16th meeting. Next, I believe, Adela, did you have some discussion, quick review of the MLK theme for this year? Yeah, so Adela, can I hand it over to you?
Well, part of the reason I was asking was not just because everybody on the panel is new and doesn't know, but also because I apologize, but even the election seems like it was about 5 years ago to me, and I don't remember where we were on our theme for this year's event. Or if I was asking if I could get a review too.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So the theme this year is collective voice, collective hope, and it's the concept, as we discussed with the mayor, was to provide an uplifting message in this time of a lot of community conflict, and to really steer clear of negative messages and keep it very positive. I will tell you that we are, Jennifer and I are working diligently with a team of local videographers and TV Tacoma on putting together some video modules or video segments, everything from some, traditional march footage mixed with recent marches across the nation, not just Tacoma, some MLK footage that we have got our hands on, which is great. And then there's a few performers, the awardees that you're going to select will receive awards. And Jennifer, pipe in if I'm missing anything.
That sounds right. So I think it's important to add that the committee member heading this up is the one that just recently resigned. And so the team that she had built, sorry, Cal is laughing because I always state the obvious. The team that she had built around her is really rallying around the event. We're trying to learn everything that they actually have in the works. We are expecting video content from them around their theme. We're working with the TV Tacoma folks with regard to some of the other filming needs that are required around the mayor and the MC. Again, back to the awards, I will thank you for addressing awardees by the 1st, because I have to write those scripts before we can film. And so I feel good about it. I will also share, just in talking about the history of my experience with this committee over the last few years, the MLK Award or the MLK event has been your largest. So if anybody that's new to the committee has not attended that event, you typically in an in-person environment have had 1,500 or more people there. It's a very large event with a very robust and active community outreach fair, which I really feel like is one of the just one of the powerhouses behind the event. People really rally around that, enjoy that. The organizations that participate in the outreach fair have always been very happy, as well as the attendees with that piece. And this year, obviously, that is all crazy. Cal and I have already talked about, since I've had all the primary contacts with the outreach fair folks and the volunteers for a number of years, once we have a press release about the this year's event, I will contact them all and just make sure that they stay in the loop, because we don't want to lose those folks if you're going to continue to do the event. I think that's it.
Thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, so that's kind of where we are. And just as a reminder, you know, you can always watch a past special presentation on TV Tacoma's YouTube website or YouTube channel. And also, I think I put links in the introductory part of the handbook for the most recent ones. So the City of Destiny Awards would be a virtual one. I don't think the MLK is going to look anything like that City of Destiny Awards program. It's going to be very high production value, very sort of showing the community and people out in the community and people who are from Tacoma and what their messages are. So that's what the videographers and the scriptwriters are working on as we speak. We should have something by the end of this week, hopefully, to review with the mayor so that we make sure that the content, which, you know, goes out to the production people, when it comes back to us, we have to look at it to make sure it's appropriate for the audience. And then TV Tacoma has to do some editing. And of course, the date is 8 p.m. on Monday, June 18th is when that will be premiered and then played throughout the month for a whole month till the middle of February. So on TV Tacoma's YouTube channel. So
January.
we're looking forward to that. Now, what did I say?
You said June.
I do that all the time.
I wouldn't have corrected except for, you know, this.
That would be great if we had until June. January 18th.
January.
Thank you.
Oh.
I'm glad to hear that it was that is virtual. I was wondering that. I kind of knew that, but I didn't want to just assume it.
Yeah, it's Kim can attest, and you know, this has just been rough for everything else that we do, and this fits right in there. Just, you know, we can't have mass gatherings until we're in phase 4. We'll be the last industry to come back online. You know, we're the first to have to shut down events. I'm speaking in general here. I'm sure Alicia probably is dealing with this as well. And, you know, yeah, so, okay. I saw your suggestion, Louise, about
Yeah, it seems like just kind of to loop back to that first conversation we had about recruiting for those open positions, that if this is the most attended event and this is kind of the way that people may be introduced to the committee, that it would be good to at least have a spot on the programming to advertise that application cycle and how people can get involved.
Yeah, thanks.
The other question that I had in terms of it being switched to a virtual event is how it may have impacted the budget that was planned to be used for that event, if any.
We were asked to reduce it from like around 40,000 to 30,000, and that's what we're going to spend. Okay. Yeah. So it didn't really save us a lot because we have so many videographers that are getting paid to work on this. And so if I have more control over that in the future, I will definitely look for that control, because I wasn't really expecting to have to pay for 3 videographers, but.
Virtual programming presents different challenges that are probably as costly as in-person programming.
Thank you for recognizing that.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a completely different set of skills that maybe some of us take for granted sometimes. So I just wanted to kind of clarify, I guess, ask out loud whether that was saving any money from the budget or not. But
and we have been able to cut it by that amount because we're not paying for the in-house sound and lighting company that we have to pay for. We get the room for free, but we haven't ever got a break because they're a company, that are the in-house provider at the convention center. So we don't get a discount on that. Well, maybe we get a discount, but it's still a big chunk, and it's about 18,000 and 19,000 a year just for that piece, because it's very involved and for a live event. So we're channeling those funds to some local independent videographers, to not all those funds, but some of those funds to them to put on this event. We don't have to buy food this year, so. That's a big expense, by the way. Food is a huge expense in the event industry, so. Okay.
And one other thing I wanted to mention, and I'm sorry, is it Alicia or is it Alicia? Can you please tell me how to say your name?
Sure, it's Alicia.
Yeah, thank you. I hate mispronouncing people's names. One thing I wanted to mention, like when you said that, usually, like MLK celebrations are the kind of the usual, thing that's celebrated for Black history. One thing I really appreciated when I joined the panel, this committee, and I hope we continue to, I encourage us and to continue, and it sounds like we will, is I remember one of the conversations we were having is how do we find those unique facets of his history that are usually not talked about. It's not a normal celebration. But like, for example, we were, and I can't remember his name, but we were talking about a way, Kala and Chris, and Kate, maybe you remember this, but talking about a way to educate about Martin Luther King Jr. had an openly gay Black advisor, and talk about that, the spirit of equity too. Like how cool. Right. We talk about all this stuff together. So I just love the fact that we've, continue to sort of, like really embrace, all facets of his history and equity. And so it's cool. We can make it something different than the usual, which I really like.
Yeah, and the status quo has been challenged, to be honest. You'll see something very different this year. I guess that's a blessing in a very difficult time, that we had to do this in a virtual fashion, because it can't rely on the same, we always do it this way. We can't do that this time. And so it'll look pretty different. It's not just, if you watch one of the older ones, or Stephanie, it sounds like you've been to the event in the past. Yeah, of course. It's always followed sort of a, I'd love to hear what you think about that, but if you filled out a survey after the event, we got some interesting feedback. So there's a very new dynamic community of Black Lives Matter and and other groups that are really sort of moving the dial. Speaking as an old white lady, I totally appreciate the fact that the younger generation is challenging the status quo. I really do.
I would really like to include everyone in this discussion, and I propose that we allow this discussion to continue after the formal portion of this committee meeting. Kella, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we still, even with a quorum, we can continue to discuss in this meeting, but not during the formal portion. Is that correct?
I would say that you have to close out your meeting by adjourning it. And then if you want to have an offline discussion, as long as you're not voting on anything, you're not, making any committee decisions, that you're just brainstorming and assuming that people have the time to continue the discussion. That's what I would recommend. And also Jennifer, we're using Jennifer's webinar portal, so she has to shut it down and stop recording when you adjourn, so that
I can stop recording when you adjourn. I'm happy to leave the webinar open and go make dinner if you want to continue on the platform.
And then
that's not a big deal at all. I just need the direction.
Yeah, and Chris, if that happens, then you need to be cognizant of other people's time, but also let Jennifer know, like text her or email her when you're done, so that she can turn it off.
That's perfect. With Kim's departure and with our continued awesome discussion that I want to make sure everyone feels included, I also want to be wary of other people's time and make sure that no one feels pressure to stick around for this kind of more informal portion. Heck, we haven't had new members here in a while. And so this excitement and energy is awesome and new. Jen Durham, any more, last time I checked, there wasn't any public involved. Is that still true?
That is still true. So no public attendees.
I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
That officially adjourns the meeting as of what, 5:37 p.m. We'll try to stick to, I think, an hour and a half is for these meetings.
More than enough.
Should be more than enough.
We had a lot to cover this time, so, and there's still some things that you have to accomplish. So I appreciate everybody's willingness to stay and, you know, have the discussion up to this point. And I am going to step out as a staff person, so you don't even have to feel like, you know, Jennifer's little host event planning image is going to be up there. But if you have questions for me, just send them to me in an email so that I can track down answers for you. And I want to say thank you to Adam and Tammy for sitting in on this nice long meeting.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Jasper says thank you if you heard him.
Yeah. That's cute.